Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So it does look like a big Nintendo Switch game might have leaked online that has been much requested throughout the years. Truthfully, I don't know how this game hasn't already made its way over to the Nintendo Switch, but if this turns out to be true, this is going to be huge. So we will talk about that today. Then also, we do have another key acquisition to talk about today, and this one is actually coming from a publisher that is quietly sitting in the background, kind of buying up a lot of the game industry right now, so we are going to go over that one as well. First up, though, we do have something interesting happening here, as it appears that Square Enix might be bringing back an interesting franchise being Gex the Gecko. Apparently here recently it was spotted that Square Enix has filed a trademark for Gex. Now this could mean absolutely nothing. There's no guarantee that this means anything at all. It is very possible that they could just be protecting the IP here. But yeah, I was a little surprised when I saw this one earlier because, I mean, it's been just such a long time since I have seen Gex the Gecko. I did play these games when I was a little kid on consoles like the Nintendo 64 and the Game Boy, but it's been just such a long time since I have even heard or seen Gex. It's, yeah, just a little bit surprising to say the least, but I do welcome this. Gex wasn't necessarily my favorite mascot in the world, but at the same time, I did enjoy these games, and he did always stand out to me. Of course, back in the 90s, there was a lot of these mascot platformers out there. Of course, you had your Marios, you had Banjo-Kazooie, there was Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, but then you also had some of these lesser-known mascots as well, such as Croc, and then there was Gex, the Gecko. They may not have been as well known or anything, but they were still enjoyable games nonetheless. So yeah, if they were to bring Gex back, yeah, I would more than welcome that. For that matter, I mean, especially if it's a 3D platformer, bring it on. I mean, I would love to see Square Enix continue to take on the 3D platforming genre, as I don't think that we get enough of these games. And you take a look at the year of 2021, and you're starting to see that people still do like 3D platformers. You had Psychonauts 2, there was Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, as well as It Takes Two, all three of which were legitimate Game of the Year contenders. So by all means, let's bring this genre back in a big way. Keep in mind, though, that all this could just mean absolutely nothing, though. There's no guarantee with any of this, but I would like to hear some of your all's thoughts on this. If you played these games before, would you like to see Gex once again return? And let me know if you had any fond memories of Gex growing up. Next up, though, we are going to be talking about some Game of the Year awards over at IGN. Now, love them or hate them, this is one of the biggest news outlets out there, and I thought we would go ahead and talk about this one, not only because they're just this massive news outlet, but also because there was some controversy surrounding the Game Awards show this year. Obviously, that's the one that a lot of people are really going to pay attention to, as the Game Awards show does have a lot of clout, but then you also have all these other news outlets that gives out Game of the Year awards, and IGN here gave the Game of the Year to Forza Horizon 5. You know, that game that didn't even get nominated at the Game Awards, and there was this big controversy because this is the best rated game of the entire year, plus it's incredibly popular. So it did rub some people the wrong way that this game didn't at the very least get nominated, but here over at IGN, they did give Forza Horizon 5 the Game of the Year award. I think that this is very much deserved, truthfully. I think that Forza Horizon 5 is an excellent game. I don't know if it's my personal Game of the Year. It's an amazing game, but there's a few games that I really did like a lot this year, but you really cannot argue with the quality of Forza Horizon 5. I think that's something that we can all pretty much agree on. Forza Horizon 5 is one of the best racing games, period. I don't think that there's a question about that. So even though, unfortunately, Forza Horizon 5 didn't get the recognition that it deserved at the Game Awards show, at the very least, it does look like some of these big outlets out there, such as IGN, is giving Forza Horizon 5 the recognition, again, that it truly deserves. And interestingly enough, not only did a big Xbox game here win the Game of the Year award over at IGN, but also the People's Choice Game of the Year as well, being Halo Infinite. Now, we saw something very similar here at the Game Awards, where Halo Infinite won that award as well, and we're seeing it once again. Yes, Halo Infinite is just a really good game, and we're not only seeing that with its multiplayer now, but we're also seeing that with its single player. both components are good in this game, and that's very special in an industry like this in today's age. We don't really see games that often anymore have both a good multiplayer as well as a good single player, but in fact, both components are so good here that they're actually the most played games on Xbox as well individually. Both of them are tracked separately, and both of them rank number 1 and 2, which is just incredible. But yes, you are seeing Halo Infinite win the People's Choice Award here once again, and you're starting to see something here. Xbox must be doing something right this generation. I know they took a lot of heat last generation with the Xbox One. They didn't produce enough games, but it really seems like they have turned things around, and everything is just happening all at the right time with the launch of the Xbox Series X. Probably 100 times the channel, I'm going to say it again. Xbox has a very bright future, and do expect them to be competitive this generation. For the first time in what it feels like ever, Xbox has complete support from Microsoft. They have a lot of studios this time. Xbox Game Pass is the best deal in all of gaming, and as we're already seeing here, their studios are highly talented, producing high-quality games, whether that be with Psychonauts 2, Forza Horizon 5, or here with Halo Infinite. Just big congrats to Xbox, Playground Games, 343 Industries, and everybody involved. Next up, let's talk about that big leak for the Nintendo Switch, and this is one that fans have been asking for such a long time, and it finally might be happening after all. Yeah, that's right, Persona 4 Golden might be heading over to the Nintendo Switch as well as the PlayStation 4. Now, what's happening here is that Persona 4 Arena Ultimax was announced during the Game Awards for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC, and this really was just such an odd announcement because fans have been asking for Persona 4 to be ported over to the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch for years and years. And again, Atlus makes yet another baffling decision by giving us the spin-off fighting game instead. I mean, has Nintendo fans even played Persona 4 Golden yet? I mean, for that matter, has PlayStation fans even played Persona 4 Golden? Because it's not like the PlayStation Vita has set the world on fire or anything like that. The PlayStation Vita ended up being a very niche device, and as good as Persona 4 Golden is, which, by the way, it really is amazing. It's one of my favorite JRPGs ever made, but as good as this game is, it's been very limited in where you can play it. Now, they did port it over to PC last year, which it sold really well, and I guess Sega was surprised by that. I just don't understand Sega and Atlus. But nonetheless, Persona 4 Golden has been much requested throughout the years to be ported to other platforms, and it is starting to seem like they are somewhat listening. I mean, like I said, they did port it over to PC, but with the introduction of Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, something very interesting has now popped up. So what's happening here is that a Twitter user by the name of Scrambled Falls spotted that if you change the URL for the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax website and add /v2 at the end, something there slightly changes with the pre-orders. See, what happens is when you add V2 to the URL, it actually allows you to pre-order the Midnight Channel Collection Deluxe Edition for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4. And that's very noteworthy because the Midnight Channel Collection is actually a combination of Persona 4 Arena with Persona 4 Golden over on Steam. Of course, as of this moment, Persona 4 has not even been announced for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4, so it would be really odd for them to have a combination of both here on the pre-orders. So with this now popping up on their website, it is starting to appear that maybe an announcement for Persona 4 could be imminent. I mean, you have to keep in mind that they still have several announcements to make for the 25th Persona anniversary. And this would be a massive announcement, and it would also be a great way to end the 25th anniversary. Now, I'm not saying that any of this is happening or anything, because, I mean, you really can never tell when it comes to Atlus, but the one thing that just continues to stick out to me is them bringing over Persona 4 Arena, not just to the Nintendo Switch, but also the PlayStation 4. And the reason that this sticks out to me so much is because it's one thing for them not to bring Persona 4 Golden over to the Nintendo Switch. There's some theories out there that maybe Sony has some kind of contract with Atlus that won't allow them to bring these games over to other consoles, but the fact that this isn't even appearing on the PlayStation 4, that is just way too strange to me. Again, I completely understand that Atlus makes no sense half the time anyways, but for them not to even bring Persona 4 over to the PlayStation 4, I just feel like that's a little too strange. So I'm going to cross my fingers and hope this one does turn out to be true. Now, I will go ahead and say that there is an insider as well kind of claiming that Persona 4 as well as Persona 3 will be heading over to other platforms next year, and that would be Zippo. Now, Zippo is a very hit and miss insider from what I have seen in the past, so I would definitely go into this whole Persona 4 rumor cautiously. Even if you are optimistic, still go into this cautiously. Now, we also got a big studio acquisition to talk about today, being Turtle Rock Studios, the studio behind Back 4 Blood. Of course, Back 4 Blood was a high-profile release that released a couple months back directly into Xbox Game Pass. And if you did like Back 4 Blood, it sounds like that franchise will have a very promising future going forward, which we'll kind of get into here in just a moment. But yes, Tencent did acquire Turtle Rock Studios. Now, Tencent is an interesting publisher just in general because they have quietly been gobbling up a lot of the game industry. Now, I think a lot of times when gamers think about some of these big publishers, they think about EA, they think about Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard, but quietly in the background, you have Tencent, which has grabbed a lot of these big studios throughout the years. And they don't just make acquisitions, but they also invest in a lot of different studios. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and name some of the studios that they have acquired or have made an investment in general. And yeah, you're going to kind of see what I'm talking about here. They got Playtonic Games, which works on Yooka-Laylee. There's Wake Up Studio, which works on Ninjala. They acquired Shark Mob. They do have a minority stake in Activision Blizzard. Ubisoft, Bluehole. They've made an investment in Platinum Games. They have a pretty large stake in Epic Games. That's one of the biggest publishers in general. And then they also own Riot Games, which has one of the biggest games in the entire industry, being League of Legends. And that's just some of the investments and acquisitions that they have made. Tencent is really pushing into gaming right now, though at the same time, there's a reason that we don't hear much about them, and that's because they quietly sit in the background. They seem to, for the most part, take a hands-off approach. And that once again does appear to be the case with Turtle Rock Studios. They did make this announcement by emphasizing that Turtle Rock will retain its independent operations. So it does appear that once again, Tencent will just kind of sit in the background, and in return, Turtle Rock will kind of get the funding that they need to continue to make the games that they want to make. And about that, Turtle Rock Studios also made a statement, and yeah, let's check out what they had to say. 2021 has been a truly extraordinary year for us with the launch of Back 4 Blood and our new partnership with Tencent. 2022 and beyond will take us to new heights. We are growing our team to support Back 4 Blood and develop new, exciting multiplayer experiences. We will continue to transparently communicate with you all, provide updates on all our progress through our Trello board, and expand upon what makes Back 4 Blood so special. Additionally, we do get to do something we have never done before as a studio: turn a universe we created into a true, long-standing AAA franchise. We can now ensure that the Back 4 Blood franchise is here to stay, and we will be working on it well into the future. So there you have it. You're going to get more Back 4 Blood going forward. So if you like that game, I think that this studio acquisition is probably going to be a good thing. But yeah, Tencent continues to make a big mark in gaming with all these different investments and acquisitions throughout the industry. Now, we do also have one last update to talk about today, and that is for Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack. Now, I know not everybody's exactly sold on this service just yet because the price increase, but they did just kind of out of nowhere add 5 new Sega Genesis games. And this includes Altered Beast, Dynamite Headdy, Sword of Vermilion, Thunder Force 2, and then Toe Jam and Earl. Several of these games are actually really good as well. I mean, Altered Beast and Toe Jam and Earl, these are some of the more beloved Sega Genesis games in general. And I mean, then you also had Paper Mario that released into Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack this month. So quietly, this has been a good month for the service overall. Now, the pricing is still going to be subjective and everything, but if you are subscribed to the service, there's plenty of good games here to check out. And the cool thing is that they're all available to play right now. Let's go and take a look at the poll of the day, though, and I started to think about all of the different Nintendo Switch games that will be releasing in 2022. They actually already have a pretty good lineup of exclusive games releasing next year, so I thought I'd ask you all, what is your most anticipated Nintendo Switch game releasing in 2022? And I think for the most part, we kind of all knew what the winner here was going to be. And of course, that would be Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, as it was the runaway winner here, being 69% of the total votes. But I was very curious to see what would take second place, and that would be Pokemon Legends Arceus with 14%, and then 8% of you all voted for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which actually looks like a really good Kirby game. I'm really interested in that one. And then Splatoon 3 at 4%. Now, 5% here did actually go to other, and obviously I couldn't include every game that I wanted to on this list. It is missing games such as Bayonetta 3, it's missing Triangle Strategy, as well as Monster Hunter Sunbreak. And of course, there's also rumors going around of a new Xenoblade game, possibly a new Donkey Kong, but we'll kind of see if those do get confirmed for 2022 or not. Nonetheless, it does appear that Nintendo is going to have a pretty big year once again in 2022, and it just seems like this is happening year after year now. They have just done such a phenomenal job with the Nintendo Switch this generation, and 2022 really looks like it's going to be no different. Of course, Zelda Breath of the Wild was incredibly popular, so the sequel is going to be absolutely massive. And to see it kind of dominate the poll here, even with Pokemon, which is a massive franchise, it just kind of shows you how excited fans are for this game. But you all did vote for Pokemon Legends Arceus as your second place winner here. And Legends Arceus, I mean, this is a really interesting title. This is a new Pokemon game being made by Game Freak, and it does look like quite a different formula than what we're used to seeing with the Pokemon franchise. As a big Pokemon fan, I will be interested to see how this one turns out. I do actually like the original formula that they always kind of go with, but I'm still interested in this one, and I want to see how it turns out. So I'm very excited about that one. But yeah, here's to yet another good year for the Nintendo Switch. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.